home, we're having a conversation about IEBC. How prepared are they to oversee the next general election? The Secretariat has raised key issues. One, saying the commissioners are not in place. They were supposed to be in place by today. Today was the deadline. That has not happened. I've just had a conversation with government spokesperson Eric Kiraithe, who says he's optimistic that probably a deal will be reached today. IEBC Secretariat also says they have not procured election equipment as at now, under a year to the next general election. Plus, you remember that whole call for a scrutiny of the voter register? That has also not happened. So there are a lot of questions on whether or not Kenya is ready for the 2017 general election. So in studio, I have Reverend Elias Gola. He's the chair of NTCK here in Nairobi. Thank you for staying with me. And at our City Center studio, I have Senator Kennedy Mungare, who was speaking to me about why he's concerned, saying that probably we don't need to look at the constitutional way of solving this, because in the first place, IEBC commissioners were not removed from office as stipulated in the Constitution. Plus, he's concerned about the time that is now available to procure the equipment. Senator, if you can hear me, you're raising some key concerns, key issues that probably are the reasons why you're not very optimistic.
Yes, Linda, I heard the referent even mention that you see the commission is there after one election, the processes go on. Mm-hmm. The remainder of IPC cadre and staff are subordinates. Without a commission, they cannot even procure a pencil. So you can see that the situations I'm raising, and I'm telling the referent and his ilk in the religious groups to be well optimistic and realistic.
So what sort of role do you think religious leaders should be playing at that now?
They need to engage the leaderships of this country, President Uhuru and the leadership in CORD, so that they can come up with a mid-waving system of fast-tracking this issue, and even looking at all the processes, and maybe appeal to Kenyans to push the elections even to December. You know, the assumption for us politicians who are in parliament to talk about an extension, it's like we're committing suicide on the Kenyans who have elected us. They think it's selfish interests, but we need to think about putting Kenya first.
Senator, did I just hear you saying probably we need to push the elections to December? So you're in the school of thought that maybe we need to postpone this election?
That's exactly what I'm saying, and I've just put a rider on the same that most voters will think that Senator Mungare wants to perpetuate his tenure in parliament. We need to be realistic and look at Kenya first. Remember, you know, there are many other even constitutional issues of touching on the tenure of members of parliament, which will be cut short into around 5 months. The tenure of members of the county assembly, which is going to be cut short to almost 8 months. And this August date, Linda, how was it procured? Samba Gitonga needs to come and tell Kenyans in the committee of experts how they put this in the constitution. Secondly, there's a conflict. I'm an untrained lawyer. There's a conflict in the constitution. Two conflicts. One, the constitution talks about having the election in a subsequent year.
Yeah.
The 1st August or the 1st August of the subsequent year, which will cut short timelines. The Court of Appeal has given a ruling that the elections must be given in that August date. But the Constitution has not catered about when you cut a constitutionally elected body to some months behind. And Linda, you mentioned about the AG. The AG is the legal advisor of this country. He went to the Joint Committee of Parliament and he gave his legal opinion. Where research thought legal opinion, nobody did that.
Okay, so I know you said you're not a lawyer, but trust me, you're arguing like one. Okay, Reverend.
I said I'm a lawyer.
Oh, you said you're a lawyer.
I'm an advocate of the
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me bring in the Reverend. Reverend, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he has an argument, but his argument also has to be realistic to the extent that he should understand that the religious leaders have always given Kenyans hope, and that is the hope we are still giving. That if you work together, be it from whichever class, political or religious or all the actors together, then we can come to a conclusion on which date is better for us. But before we create a scenario that it is impossible, let us work with what we have. And that's basically what the religious leaders are saying.
And as you say, let us work with what we have.
Yeah.
Probably that is the concern, because reality on the ground,
Yes.
Reverend, is that probably IEBC may not be ready in time. And reality on the ground, as the senator says, is maybe this is the time that religious leaders need to actually just have a conversation with the political leaders and say, people, we're not doing very well, and have a conversation with the entire country as a whole. There needs to get to a point where religious leaders say, enough, we are taking it from here, in the interest of the country.
And Linda, we can do that, and we can really do that graciously. We have the opportunity now to advise Kenyans and to help Kenyans get into place the next IEBC, if this one will go. Okay? Now, if this one goes, then the team that was to be set will be set, and from there, the likes of Mungare can now tell Kenyans that now with this one, we can see the time is not there. But if you begin raising the issues of the time and there is a negotiation going on, are we saying that we are comfortable with the situation that now is becoming unlawful?
Yeah.
Now, go back to the Constitution. Are we negotiating the Constitution now? And if we go back and begin saying, how did this one get into the Constitution? There are so many things that many Kenyans did not agree with, but the fact that the Constitution passed, every Kenyan is having that document as their document.
Okay.
And therefore, the likes of Mungare should tell Kenyans that the issues that is raising of terms, these terms are being to be cut short by 5 months,
a couple of months,
or 8 months, and this one, those issues are issues. And they know it, and we also know it. But they should be willing and ready to give Kenyans time to at least handle issues once at a time.
Which Kenyans?
Senator, 10 seconds. Last words. I need to wrap this up.
You see, the Reverend is not going to talk about giving Kenyans. It's the leadership from the religious groups and the leadership in Parliament to give guidelines to Kenyans.
That
Kenyans
is correct.
don't understand some of these dynamics.
That is correct.
All right,
Yes.
gentlemen,
That is very
I really need to wrap this up. Senator, I need to bring you into a different conversation, a much longer one. Then maybe we can talk about this. Reverend Elias Gola, Chair of NCCK here in Nairobi, sir, thank you for your time this morning. And from our City Center studio, Senator Kennedy Mungare speaking on the IEBC and the conversation that is revolving around it, whether or not they'll be prepared to oversee the 2017 general election. People, let's take a breather to pave way for Zinziki, because